regional economies and how they can benefit from apprenticeships and the impact they have. During the pandemic, we've all been forced to rely on technology and virtual platforms more than ever, so we've anticipated a very different National Apprenticeship Week. We are seeing the number of apprenticeships available in digital data and technology roles increase and building new and innovative areas, and we hope to show some of the motivating stories of how apprentices have helped businesses adapt and build during a difficult year. So first, we've got a message from the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Apprenticeships and Skills, Gillian Keegan.
Hello to everyone, I'm Gillian Keegan, I'm the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills, and I'm actually the first former apprentice to hold this role. I'm really excited to be able to join you today as part of National Apprenticeship Week 2021. Now, as you're aware, apprenticeships are a great way to earn while you learn, opening up new career paths that can transform lives. And this year we see the theme for the week, Build the Future, reinforcing how apprenticeships boost careers whilst future-proofing workforces. Now, as a former degree apprentice myself, I know firsthand how an apprenticeship can jumpstart careers and lead to a range of opportunities. For employers, apprentices continue to bring fresh ideas and help organisations of all sizes to thrive. Apprenticeships will continue to play a vital role in growing our economy and closing skills gaps as we build back better after the pandemic. Across the country, apprentices are being equipped with the most up-to-date skills, which is essential to keep up in a technologically advancing world. It is the nature of last year that makes this year's National Apprenticeship Week so significant. You will not need reminding that 2020 was a challenging year, and 2021 has continued in a similar vein. Bringing together apprenticeship ambassadors, MPs, colleges, training providers, apprentices, parents and employers, National Apprenticeship Week is more important now than ever to champion the fantastic work being done across the apprenticeship community. As we embark together on 2021, we need to come together and build a better vision of tomorrow. And I know employers and their apprentices will be central to this. I thank you for your continued commitment to apprenticeships and ask that you keep up the momentum. And finally, can I encourage you all to share your stories using the hashtag NAW2021 and hashtag Build the Future. Have a fantastic event today and enjoy National Apprenticeship Week. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Gillian. Gillian touched on some key points that are really at the heart of the work that the GBSLEP Skills and Apprenticeship Hub and the Ladder for Greater Birmingham carry out. My name is Daniel Degg. I'm the Growth Hub Manager for Skills Training and Apprenticeships at the Greater Birmingham and Solihull LEP. I'm very pleased to say that the Hub has already engaged with hundreds of employers since our launch in December. So what is the Hub? The Skills and Apprenticeship Hub is a one-stop shop for businesses to have their training and skills needs met. So we have a team of four skills advisors that support employers with identifying skills, training and apprenticeship gaps within their business, deliver an entirely business-focused skills offers to employers locally. Close links to the Growth Hub emphasise the wraparound support that we can also offer to local businesses by also providing advice, guidance and tailored support on non-skills related challenges such as the UK transition, access to finance and grants. Within the Hub, we have a target of 2,190 employers to complete a training needs analysis over the next 2 years. And we also now have a brand. We have a website which you can find at the bottom of each slide. All the information on apprenticeships that you hear from our skills advisors today is accessible on our website, along with a call to action to book a training needs analysis with one of our team. The employers we support are really at the heart of what we do, but we're only as strong as the partnerships that we have in place and the organisations that we refer to. So a key partner of ours at the Hub is the Ladder for Greater Birmingham. So before we start hearing from our guest speakers and our advisors on how apprenticeships can be used as a vehicle for recovery, following the challenging year that Gillian mentioned, I'd like to introduce you to Jill Durkin at the Ladder for Greater Birmingham, an organisation that really champion apprenticeships to the region. So over to you, Jill.
Thank you, Dan. I'm Jill Durkin, as Dan has just said, and I'm one of the project leads for the Ladder for Greater Birmingham campaign. The Ladder for Greater Birmingham campaign, we are a working partnership alongside the GBSLEP, the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce, Reach PLC, and we have a consortia of 25 providers that include representation from both the private sector, FE and HE. This campaign follows the successes of previous campaigns in London, Black Country, Staffordshire and Shropshire. Collectively, we've generated over 4,500 apprenticeship opportunities. Our focus is to raise the awareness of apprenticeships with employers and individuals, ensuring that you have a single point of contact to access advice and support as to the apprenticeship programmes available to you and to maximise the funding and grants available. We have supported employers of all sizes in both the public and the private sector across all sectors ranging from hairdressing, retail to nursing. We've supported recruitment in micro businesses whilst at the same time supporting large employers such as HS2 and BT. Each campaign has a legacy, and one of our proudest achievements so far have been the Ladder for Greater Birmingham Apprenticeship Awards that was introduced 2 years ago. Last year we held our awards evening virtually, but for all the reasons that we know about, and we reached over 24,000 visitors. We were pleased to see that the overall winner, Mohammed, was a mature apprentice who was working in the health and social care sector, employed by West Midlands Ambulance Service. We're proud to be working alongside the Skills and Apprenticeship Hub, and we'll help everyone maximise the opportunities that are available to you. We urge everyone to consider an apprenticeship, whether it's recruiting new staff or looking at solutions to upskill the existing workforce. I now have pleasure in introducing our patron, the Right Honourable Robert Halfon MP, Chair of the Education and Select Committee.
Everyone, it's Robert Halfon here, MP for Harlow in Essex and Chair of the House of Commons Education Committee, but more importantly, I am a proud patron of the Ladder Foundation. It is a brilliant initiative and I'm really pleased to support it. We need to get our young people on the ladder of opportunity, on the education and skills ladder of opportunity, climbing up that ladder rung by rung to get job security and prosperity for the future. And what the Ladder organisation does is it gives people a chance to do those apprenticeships and skills, and I welcome the work it does with all the local councils, the local enterprise partnerships, the Department for Education and much more besides. The pandemic has been really difficult for everyone, difficult for those in further education, schools and colleges, and those doing apprenticeships, and they often get forgotten because everybody, for one reason or other, always talks about schools, even though that's understandable. But let's use this event to showcase the very best of apprenticeships and skills, the work of the Ladder Foundation, and let's get our young people climbing that ladder so we can build a skills and apprenticeship nation. The government's white paper, which we are scrutinising in our education committee, is really a good step forward. It's a direction of travel because it's saying that skills is as important as academic education and that we need to invest more in skills. We need to have a lifetime guarantee for our young people, help them do the qualifications that they need and give them all the opportunities in further education and higher education in order to make that happen. So good luck everyone, every good wish to all the organisers, every good wish to every apprenticeship, every apprentice and all those doing skills and further education. Let's keep climbing up that ladder of opportunity.
Thank you, Rob, for taking the time to support today's event. I would like us now to have a look at the theme for National Apprenticeship Week 2021, which is around building your future and providing learning opportunities in 3 key areas. So we're going to be looking at train, retrain and achieve. As we know, apprenticeships are an exciting option and opportunity for both apprentice and the employer. You can employ apprentices at different levels, from school leavers and university graduates to people who want to further their careers or change career direction completely. You can employ apprentices at different levels, from school leavers and university graduates to people who want to further their careers or change career direction completely. You can hire someone new or upskill your existing workforce. The first step is train. This is all about future-proofing your workforce, recovering from COVID-19 and taking on an apprentice to fill the skills gaps your workforce may be facing. Training or hiring a new apprentice is a productive and effective way to grow your talent and develop a motivated, skilled and qualified workforce. Training apprentices can build your business for years to come. The next step is the retrain. This is all about looking at your current employees, what skills they will need for the up and coming challenges of 2021 and beyond. This may be digital or technology skills, in a new and exciting role within your business, or a step up in responsibilities. You can adapt their training according to the needs of your business. Motivate them to learn new skills and provide them with the opportunity to develop and learn as part of your evolving business. Achieve is what all employers supporting their apprentices and apprentices themselves are striving for, to realise their full potential and look at career progression. Investing in your employees can produce a highly motivated and extremely committed workforce. At this point, I would like to introduce my colleague Helen, who will talk about the learner journey from level 2 to level 7. Over to you, Helen.
Thanks, Ashi. So we're going to now look at the apprentice journey as a whole, really. As an apprentice will be with an employer for a minimum of 12 months. There are many starting points, but it really can be viewed as lifelong learning. Anyone over the age of 16 can be eligible for an apprenticeship as long as they are in full-time employment, and this is classed as 30 hours work per week minimum. The career ladder for an apprentice can be loosely based on the diagram on the screen, but the eligibility criteria will be always taken into account, such as prior learning and work experience, amongst other factors. There are many different apprenticeships starting from level 2 right up to master's degree level 7. An apprenticeship can be for almost anyone in your workplace. As seen here, an apprentice's journey can start at level 2, which is about 12 to 18 months. This journey is from their first day right up to taking their endpoint assessment. An apprentice can then work their way up their career ladder, changing roles and responsibilities along the way, and enrol onto the next level. Each level will take slightly longer in duration as there are more assessments and outcomes to achieve. An advanced apprenticeship, which is level 3, is equivalent to A-levels, which will either get the apprentice into university for a traditional degree route or onto a higher or degree apprenticeship. Some apprentices may think that this is the easy way to gain a degree, and while it does have its advantages, such as work experience alongside their learning and the lack of tuition fees for the apprentice themselves, it is by no means the easy way to gain a degree. There are still some same elements as a full-time degree, such as learning hours to achieve, and this is why the average degree apprenticeship can take up to about 5 years to complete. The apprentice will have to complete a dissertation alongside all other degree level assessments, such as assignments and exams. The benefit to this is that there is so much support available for apprentices, and that's from employers to universities or training provider and their skills coach or assessor. Training providers are also there to support you as the employer in how to support an apprentice at any level. We're now going to move on to myth-busting of apprenticeships, and we felt this was really, really important as there are many misconceptions of apprenticeships, such as they only attract those who didn't do well at school, they're only for young people under the age of 25, and only for a small number of industries. Apprenticeships can be perceived to be for low-level qualifications that are not accredited. Apprentices and employers have the misconception that if for some unfortunate reason they are made redundant, they cannot be transferred, and if they are hired, then they're only there to the dog's body of the workplace. A myth we're having to tackle more recently is that hiring an apprentice during the pandemic is not an option. We wanted to dispel some of these myths with some facts. Apprenticeships are just one of the alternative routes to skilled employment. They are there for anyone over the age of 16, but there is no upper age limit. An apprenticeship is open to new and existing members of staff going into a different role or with more responsibilities to ensure that new knowledge, skills and behaviours can be acquired. As an apprentice employer, not only will you be offering a fantastic opportunity to someone, but also be in the position to mould your perfect employee, giving them the tools and values of your company to be a highly motivated part of your workforce. Hiring an apprentice is not just to take up the work you don't want to. They are a full-time employee and have the same workplace rights as all other employees. They should be given tasks and responsibilities in line with their training and skill level. Research shows that not all your apprentices are a great addition to your workforce, but 23% of apprentices will secure a promotion if available within 12 months of qualifying. Apprenticeships are not just for certain industries like manufacturing. This may have been the case many years ago, but there now are apprenticeships for customer service, healthcare, leadership and management, and up to 170 industries. And as we mentioned previously, an apprenticeship does not stop at level 2. One of the biggest misconceptions at the moment is that you cannot employ an apprentice during the pandemic. We will be hearing today from some employers who have successfully managed to continue with their apprenticeship recruitment during COVID. Another common myth we see quite a lot of the time is that employers do not value apprentices. On average, research has shown that not only do apprentices bring fresh talent, new eyes and another point of view, but they also boost productivity on average about £214 a week. Apprenticeships are a fantastic way to grow your business, and even during the pandemic, it is a perfect time to employ or upskill an apprentice. In addition to a fantastic opportunity, there are some amazing incentives for you to take on a new apprentice, and we're going to look at those now. The government have introduced incentive payments for employers taking on new apprentices. This payment is different to apprenticeship levy funds, so you can spend it on anything to support your organisation's costs. For example, on uniforms, your apprentices' travel or their salary. You do not have to pay it back. When you set up your digital apprenticeship service or DAS account, you will need to submit your bank details and incentive payments will be paid directly to you. With any incentive, there are eligibility criteria, and the main one is that this can only be claimed for new employees to your business who joined after the 1st of August 2020. All incentives will be paid in 2 equal instalments. The first is on day 90 and then the final one on day 365, which means that apprentices must still be on programme for at least a year. If the apprentice decides to drop off the course, is made redundant, or any other reason they decide not to continue on their programme after a year, the incentives do not need to be paid back. The additional incentives are available until the 31st of March. For a 16 to 24-year-old, you will receive £2,000, and for anyone over the age of 25, it's £1,500. As said before, this can only be used for new employees to your business joining as an apprentice. Eligibility criteria obviously will apply. The additional £1,000 for a 16 to 18-year-old apprentice will be in place after the 31st of March. So now I'd just like to introduce 2 guest speakers who have been continuing with their apprenticeship recruitment through the pandemic. First, we have Rachel Smith, who's the Training and Development Manager from Birmingham Women and Children's Hospital. And then following that, we have Anne Potterton, Head of Apprenticeships at BT. So firstly, can I please just introduce Rachel Smith?
Thank you, Helen, and thank you everyone for welcoming me and asking me to talk a little bit today about some of the apprenticeship works we've been doing at Birmingham Women's and Children's. I should perhaps confess at the beginning that I am very pro apprenticeships. I get very excited about apprenticeships, so please feel free to stop me if I get too carried away. As some of our other colleagues on the call, I was an apprentice. I did a foundation modern apprenticeship about 20 years ago, so perhaps not so modern now, and I'm currently enrolled in a level 7 senior leader degree apprenticeship at University of Birmingham. So, you know, apprenticeships have really helped me support me in my career, and I'm really keen to use the apprenticeship levy to support the development of our staff at BWC. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So I just wanted to show here just some of the apprenticeships that we have our staff enrolled on, and a combination of new employees and current employees that we use in the levy to develop. We're an employer provider as well at BWC, so the ones that are highlighted in blue are the ones that we deliver ourselves. The other programmes you can do deliver, like I say, it's just a small snapshot. We've also got people enrolled on social work degree apprentices, and right the way from different levels, from level 2 right up to level 7. And we work with local training providers and we work with local universities to be able to support those higher level apprenticeships. And we're really keen that we can make that a real key part of the appraisal process as well. So when we're looking at how we can support that staff development, we're really considering how the levy can be used to, retain our staff and to grow them as well. It works really well in terms of our workforce planning, so that we can look at, especially the example I gave earlier with the social work degree apprentice, that in that intensive care department, they know that their social worker will be retiring in 3 years' time. So they were able to start putting someone, get that training ready so that they'll be ready in those 3 years' time to be able to take on that role. Go to the next slide, please. So all of our recruitment is done through NHS Jobs website. I'll put the link there just if you ever wanted to have a little look. Which doesn't always support our apprenticeship process, if I'm really truthfully honest. But what I'll do is, as we're going through, I'm going to give you some examples of we've tried to mitigate the impact of that. The recruitment through NHS Jobs is very much, it's an application form process. People can set themselves up on it beforehand. Our apprenticeships are very popular, particularly the healthcare support worker apprenticeship. And again, in a moment, I'm going to give you an example of the pathway there. But we also recognise that not everyone knows to look on NHS Jobs, and we've been working really closely with our colleagues across Birmingham Solihull in health and social care, and we've been working on a careers hub website, and that'll hopefully be launching in the next month or so. And through that, we're also able to encourage schools and employers to be able to go to that central hub and be able to signpost people to be able to grow and develop within the health and social care sector. What it will also do then is it will pull in all the different mechanisms for NHS Jobs, the social care equivalent, and make sure there's one place then where people can go for jobs and work experience and ambassadors and all those different support mechanisms that go into apprenticeships. We've continued to recruit. We've got 16 healthcare support workers starting with us today, as well as our customer service apprentices that we start regularly. We've had to switch to online interviews, so whereas in the past we would have had people to Zoom this time. The other thing I would kind of just be mindful of is we've got a young man that started with us yesterday and he doesn't have a computer at home. So that was the first time that he'd ever used Zoom, and I'm mindful actually that could be really challenging for some people if they're not used to, well, you know, like myself probably 12 months ago, never heard of Zoom, they're all of a sudden expecting to be able to perform in an interview. So we're really mindful of the preparation that we give to people beforehand, but also not expecting people to be really, you know, if they're using it on a phone, we perhaps wouldn't expect them to be able to use the chat mechanism as easily or be able to see everyone that's on the panel. But really important for us is all of this is underpinned by a focus on inclusive recruitment. We really, really value and recognise the importance of having that diverse workforce and the impact that it has on our patient care. And that's the same for any business, actually. The importance of having that representation and the difference that you're going to be delivering is phenomenal. So we've really tried to make sure that we focus on particular community groups to make sure that when people visit our hospitals or our hubs, that they see themselves represented in their workforce and they know that they're going to get the best possible care. If I go on to the next slide, I'll show you an example of how we've tried to look at our recruitment to become more inclusive. Thank you. So this was a recent campaign that we did in November time, looking at healthcare science apprenticeships. It's a level 4 apprenticeship. It's not a department that's had an apprentice before, and it's in the genetics team at the Women's Hospital. And I thought this was just a really good example to share with you of where we've got a process whereby we have to recruit people through NHS Jobs, but we really wanted to make sure that we were reaching the right communities, but also opening it up to different people that perhaps hadn't had the opportunity to have work experience in a laboratory before, but actually had the ability to career. And then accompanying this, we had a video advert that went with it as well, so that people could see what it was like to work in a laboratory. So again, just because we might be able to get your work ship, and we're really excited that we've got 4 young people starting with us very soon for that apprenticeship. The other thing that we had was a virtual open day, which was for the whole of the trust, and we were able to use a mixture of a live webinar, live question and answers, along with videos from our apprentices as well. So they were able to talk about what their experience had been. If we can go on to the next slide, I'll just show you a little bit of an example of one of the pathways that we have at BWC. So this is a very typical, it's very well embedded now actually, our healthcare support worker pathways. And this is one of the programmes that we deliver as an employer provider. So we have people coming in at level 2. They have to have maths and English, grade C and above, and some experience of care, but that could be working in a nursery, for example, or it could be babysitting friends and family. And the reason that people have to have maths and English for this particular course is because they are on the wards, they are recording baby weights that ultimately will affect what their medication's given. So for this apprenticeship, they do need maths and English. They're recruited because we interviewed over Zoom with the different references, and they've started with us this week. So they'll do 2 weeks as a mixture of online and classroom sessions. There's certain things we can't do online. So things like life support, for example, we need to be able to do practically. And practicing blood pressure example, you need to be able to do in person. So for those groups, we're doing smaller groups in larger rooms so that they can socially distance. And then once they've completed that apprenticeship, they're then able to look at which area, which specialism they want to progress into. So whether that in midwifery as a nursing associate or within theatres. And we've really got a really great relationship now with our university that we use, that we're preparing our healthcare support workers to go on to, particularly the nursing associate. And actually they very often comment on the quality of our apprentices and how well experienced they are. Likewise, we're able to use where people would have done the foundation degree previously, we're using the levy that's been mapped to the associates, to the healthcare assistant practitioner, and there's maternity and surgical routes. And now we're able to offer the higher level ones as well through the levy. So the ODPs were started with the universities, should have started in January, unfortunately been put back to May. And then we're hoping that our nursing associates can do the top up to the registered nurse. And then similarly for our maternity support workers, that they can top up then to be a midwife. And that's very much about those conversations with local providers about looking at alternative routes, that people don't have to just go from 2 to 3 to 4. Actually, some people might be able to go straight for a different route. If we can just pop to the next slide, I just wanted to cover as well traineeships and the importance. I mentioned for our healthcare support workers, they need to have their maths and English. And we also recognise that for many people, they might have a D in one of those subjects, but actually could be fantastic healthcare support workers. And we were reducing our pool of people that we could come and work with us. So we're working with a local college to put 10 traineeships that were due to start in January. Again, we've just delayed those a little bit. But again, that's a really great way that we can get those people that are have the exam, get for them to have the opportunity to come and see what it's like to work in a hospital and what that role's like, so that they can then apply for the apprenticeship. And with the work with the college, they'll do their maths and English if they don't have it already, as well as an introduction to care. So looking at even before apprenticeships, making sure that people are ready for those roles. And then I'll just summarise on the next slide with some of the impact that we've had with COVID and how we've had to change a little bit. So I've mentioned already, we've switched to online interviews. We've had a bit of a blended induction, and that continues throughout the programmes as well. There's a real mix of face-to-face learning as well as distance learning. Obviously, we are in a hospital, so we are continuing, we are open, we are business as usual. So our apprentices are at work, as are we. Some of the progress reviews we are doing remotely, so we are trying to reduce the footfall around the hospital. Or if we've got apprentices that are shielding, we've been able to embrace that a lot more now. And really just wanted to highlight the importance of that wellbeing support. So even if you've got learners that want a break in learning, it's important that you keep in touch with them, and all of those additional support mechanisms. And we've been able to apply for some of that funding for taking on a new apprentice, to be able to invest in the well-being of our learners, and we really recognise how important that is. Some of the challenges around some of our apprentices and their managers have been redeployed. So some of our apprentices have been redeployed around our trust. So they might be working on a different ward with a different specialism. And for some of them, their managers are part of the mutual aids. They might be working at a different hospital entirely. So we've got staff that are currently supporting over at the QE and at Heartlands at Good Hope. So sometimes it's making sure that if their normal manager isn't around, who is supervising them. We've also been able to work with another local college and do more the online maths and English lessons for our existing workforce. Again, some staff weren't able to access the apprenticeship that they wanted to do because they didn't have their maths and English already. But by switching to online, it's actually made it more accessible for them to be able to do that. I've mentioned that some of our start dates have been delayed, and the workforce demands have impacted on, particularly on our customer service apprenticeships. We've seen that decrease. Hearing a lot from managers that need someone that's ready now. So what we're doing with those teams is looking at where we've got existing apprentices that are perhaps 6 months into their programme that can then go and support, and that then frees up a vacancy for a new person to come in. Or alternative, looking at those higher levels to support their team's development to get them to where they need to be. So I hope that gives you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what we've been doing for apprentices. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Rachel. That was really, really informative, and it's great to see. Obviously, hospitals and NHS are a big part of what's going on at the moment with the pandemic, and I think it's really important to showcase exactly what you've been doing. So that's really, really useful and informative. Thank you ever so much. Our next guest speaker is Anne Potterton, and we're just having some technical difficulties with Anne, so it might be that we just have to scoot forward, pass Anne's part, and then come back to it when we've been able to resolve the issues.
Excellent. No problem at all. Yeah, thank you, Rachel, for sharing your perspective on the importance of apprenticeships, the added value, and how you've adapted your practice over the last 12 months as well. So the proportion of apprentices in health and social care roles has actually increased in the last 12 months. I think one part is the role to being apprenticeship. So thank you with that. Yeah, we do have a slight delay in getting BT on board. It's always great to hear from Anne, the head of apprenticeships at BT. Personally, I've been lucky enough to be involved in the recruitment of degree apprentices, and they really are leading by example in implementing it as an early careers option for school and college. So it'll be great to get her on board. But before we do, I'm just going to go over to the next slide, if that's okay. So we just wanted to look at a few apprenticeship vacancies that are available regionally. At the moment, there are over 700 apprenticeship vacancies within our region, and another organisation who champion apprenticeships are. So they're committed to creating 2,000 apprenticeships nationwide, and have engaged with the ladder for Greater Birmingham to ensure individuals within our GBSLEP, Greater Birmingham Solihull LEP area, benefit. I'd like to show you just a quick video launched for National Apprenticeship Week. 30 new apprenticeships have been created within our region. Vacancies go live this week on HS2's brand new job board. It might be on the next slide, if that's okay. Excellent. And as introduced at the top of the presentation by Ashi as well, the three sub-themes of this National Apprenticeship Week are train, retrain and achieve. And we would like to end the event on a high and share a local success story showcasing the achievements of our Apprentice of the Year for 2020.
Mohammed Islam, father of 2 young children, has worked hard to juggle his parental responsibilities and demanding job while completing the apprenticeship programme to the best of his ability. During national lockdown, he kept up with online teaching sessions with his tutor while caring for his youngest child. Despite the distraction this could have proven, he showed great determination to complete his apprenticeship. As a key worker also, he has been putting in long hours during the pandemic, making it even more impressive that he has achieved a diploma in healthcare support in just over 12 months, as well as functional skills level 2 qualifications in English and maths.
I was quite shocked to be nominated. I do feel proud for what I've achieved. Being a father and working and trying to look after your children and do your coursework is quite difficult. People like myself, I lose attention, if you know what I mean, when you're in a classroom environment. And like myself, I like to be on the job. People like being on the job are ideally suited for the apprenticeships. And I always say, go for it. Mentally, you've got to stay strong. And obviously we get that sense of satisfaction, we've helped somebody, and that kind of gives me a bit of strength to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Excellent. I think that concludes the event today. We are still waiting for one of our guest speakers, so we are going to give it a few more moments. We can move straight to the Q&A. So if there is any questions that any attendees have, please feel free to. I think we can switch mics on now, Wakar, maybe, and also chat in the chat box as well. Have any questions? Okay.
Yep, I'll just unmute everybody. So guys, when you see the unmute button, feel free to ask a question.